everything's set up here. We have our really basic outline here. I'm using this because the lines are very simple. It's easy to see, and we're not worried about any kind of detail. I have a piece of acetate, or I think it's called drafting film or plastic. I found it in the section with the paper in the Hobby Lobby, and all it is a piece of plastic, and I measured 1 inch both directions clear to the top, which is way up here and way down, and then I took a straight edge, which was a T-square, and made my lines with a Sharpie. And you want a thin Sharpie. Don't get the pen. There's Sharpie pens also. This is a actual permanent marker. It's retractable, very, very thin point. And then you just draw across and curl down, and you have yourself a nice graph that you can put over your photographs. And what's good about this is that, let's say you've got grandma's old photo or some friend's photos, and you don't want to actually mark the graph on your photograph. So you can use one of these. And I use other things also, and that'll be another video. Some other things that you can use. Then you'll want your pencils. I use a 2B for most of the outlining. You can use a regular number 2 pencil because it's a hard lead. You can use HB, which is what comes with your mechanical pencils when you buy them. They usually come with HB, and it's a very, it's pretty hard, and it doesn't show up too much, because what you want really faint lines here. These are a lot darker than you're going to actually want, because you're going to want to erase or blend in so that you don't see these. Alright, we're ready to go. Now, as I said before, you wouldn't have to number these, but this is going to make it a lot easier, especially if you're a beginner and you're sort of a visual person like I am, and for kids it's a lot easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to start down here on D1. So we find D1, which is this square here. And I'm going to notice that on D1 there's a place right here at the corner, and it's not quite on the corner, it's a little bit on that side of the corner. I'm going to make these a lot darker than you'll want to make them. Actually, your lines are going to be very, very, very faint. It's sort of like that, just barely. But I want you to be able to see it, so I'm going to make them a lot darker. Now, as I come up here, I see that the line here comes up to about there from that corner. What I'm doing is I'm moving my eyes back and forth here. And another thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at the negative space. And the negative space is anything with nothing in it. All of this is negative space here. This is all negative space. These 2 spots here are negative space. And that's just a really good habit to get into as you're doing this. So we're down here to D1. We're moving up into D2 now. And I see this negative space. And I see that that negative space here. And then I also want to notice where this line here is going to exit. And if you notice, it's almost in the middle of this line here. Just a little shy to the left of it. So I'm just really just kind of mark that spot. And then I can kind of flow it up. And it's not very curved. You can see it's not very curved here. Do not try to say, okay, this is going to be a head, this is going to be an eye, this is going to be a nose. Focus only on one square at a time, just like a puzzle. And when everything comes together, then it will be an outline. I notice that the line here is below that, obviously, and above the middle line. So somewhere in there, I'm watching this negative space here, and I'm going to make it darker. And if you do it faintly, you can always use your kneaded eraser or your preferred eraser, whichever you want. You can always take off stuff. But I'm making this, as I said, a lot darker than you would want to make it. Now I'm looking at that negative space, I'm looking at that negative space, I see it comes around. I see this little piece here. There's a little negative space right there. It's coming in. There's about the halfway mark, and it's a little to the left of that. So it's a little left of that, so maybe right in there somewhere. Okay. Then I come up here and I see that this exit's just a little below the midline. I'd say that's probably about midline, maybe right there, and it's a little below that. So I'm just going to kind of mark that spot there. I want to watch this negative space right here. Just takes practice. Now I'm coming out of B4 here, B4, and I'm going to go to the over here to see exactly where that exits, and I'm looking when it's down a little bit below that, not at the halfway mark, which would be about halfway, somewhere in there. So I'll come up. I'm looking at negative space on both sides, sort of to see, and I'm moving my eyes back and forth, because wherever your eyes go, your hand tends to go. And I come out and I look over here to see where that sort of exits, and it's sort of right in, oh, right about in there, maybe. So I get a little right in there. And then I come out from the edge of B5 into B6, still looking at this negative space here, thinking, okay, it's coming down here and it's going to exit right about there, and that's a little below the halfway mark, somewhere in there. My pencil here. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little darker so you can see it here. Alright, now we're going to work on the eyes now. And what I want to do is, these are probably perfect circles or close to it, and I want to find the size that as closely matches this as I can on this. And you can see through this a little bit. And I see that this is too small because I still see the edges of the dark eye there. So I move over a little bit, and I can see that that's pretty close. And this is the best tool for this is the mechanical pencil, because it'll go right up against the edge of this circle thing here. You just make your circle. Now obviously this is going to be darker. And this is just, you know, I may not be exact. I may have to redo it. If I was working on this for a permanent drawing, I would probably not get it right the first time. That's the way it sort of works. Then all you gotta do then is just sort of fill it in. And I'm not gonna bore you with filling in both of them right at this point. And that's pretty much the lesson. Thanks for watching. If you need any help, just remember to go to the website and find the contact form and email me, and I'll get back with you. Thanks. Have a good day.